I drove nearly 3 hours to get to my mountain cabin, the one spot that still offered some semblance of solace after my wife left this world. But as soon as I set foot on the deck, I stopped dead. My son Alex was sprawled in my favorite armchair, his wife and her folks right there with him nursing cocktails as if they'd claimed the deed already. He met my gaze without blinking and declared, "You can't stay here any longer. This belongs to them now." I forced a grin, but inside I'd already resolved that this would be a memory etched into their minds forever. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the channel and drop a comment with your location. It was a deliberate grin, the sort folks confuse for surrender. My grip on the duffel bag strap grew so tight that I could feel the pulse throbbing in my forearm veins standing out against the weathered skin. The fading evening glow painted amber streaks across the peaks, the same rugged vista where Emily and I once perched, tracing the shadows of clouds until night claimed the sky. Yet that recollection faded beneath the shock of the scene unfolding before me. Alex reclined further, crossing one leg over the other in a pose so relaxed it bordered on rehearsed. Sophia lingered nearby, her locks perfectly styled, cradling her drink like a prop in a staged photo. Her parents, Harold with his impeccably groomed gray beard and Evelyn wearing that courteous yet condescending tilt of her lips, appeared utterly at ease, far too at ease. Harold offered me a curt dip of his chin, the type reserved for a delivery driver dropping off a package. "Pardon me." My tone remained even, almost detached. That's how I always come across when I'm weighing whether to reason or to unravel. "You heard correctly, Dad," Alex replied. No trace of doubt in his delivery. "We're settling in for the weekend. And by we, that includes Sophia's parents as well. They're going to make this their spot from here on." I peered beyond him into the den. The Afghan Emily had crocheted still hung over the sofa's armrest, the very sofa we'd selected on a whim during a road trip years back. A set of hand-carved wooden coasters rested on the side table, one I'd whittled in my shed the autumn before she slipped away. Evelyn's tumbler sat smack on the bare timber surface. "Since when," I inquired deliberately, "does property in my name transfer to others without my awareness?" Sophia placed her glass aside. "Since it just aligns better this way, Thomas. They require a haven, and you're scarcely here. It's wasteful to leave it vacant." Vacant. The term lingered in the crisp air, heavy with implication. I'd been up just last month refinishing the deck boards. The prior month, I'd swapped out the storm shutters. But facts like those held no sway for them. This wasn't about fairness. It was about dominance. Harold chimed in, then his words slick with insincere politeness. "We appreciate your understanding, Thomas. We'll maintain it impeccably." I ignored him, my focus locked on Alex. "And you figured you'd declare this while lounging in my seat?" Alex's mouth quirked, not fully a smirk. Best to be upfront about it. There was an era not distant when a single glance from me could make him squirm, prompt him to soften his edge. But now he held firm. Somewhere amid his business school diploma and this deck, he'd convinced himself he called the shots. I ascended the steps onto the deck. Nobody budged to accommodate me. I traveled 3 hours to arrive. I stated my timbre unwavering. "I'd prefer to enter." "Not right now," Alex countered. "We have supper arrangements. You'd disrupt things." "Disrupt?" I scanned each face deliberately. Evelyn shifted her posture, smoothing her scarf as though preparing for an audience. Sophia eyed Alex, a subtle grin teasing her expression. Harold refilled his drink. "Very well." I uttered the phrase bitter like iron on my tongue. "Savor your night." I pivoted, descended the stairs, and traversed the stony path to my vehicle. Their chatter. Alex's chuckle. Evelyn, inquiring about the spirit's origin, trailed me until I sealed the door. The motor ignited smoothly on the initial try, that reliable American engineering purring beneath the frame. I backed out methodically, catching a final view of them on the deck in my mirrors. Alex didn't bother observing my departure. He was immersed in discussion once more, effectively wiping me from the picture. The path from Summit Ridge winds through a corridor of evergreens that perpetually carries the scent of fresh earth even in arid spells. Emily adored that aroma. We'd cruise this route with the windows cracked, her strands fluttering across her cheeks as she giggled at a tune on the stereo. I clenched the steering wheel harder. My son had essentially barred me from the sole refuge that echoed her presence. And the cruelest aspect wasn't the boldness. It was the effortless manner in which he executed it. No wavering, no shadow of remorse. By the time I hit the interstate, dusk had fallen and the chill deepened. My device vibrated on the adjacent seat. I ignored it. For now, I craved quietude. Upon arriving at my driveway in Denver, the console clock displayed 9:27 p.m. The residence loomed shadowy save for the entry lamp I'd habitually activated. Emily had mandated that. A dwelling should never welcome you in gloom, she'd insist. Within, I deposited my bag in the foyer and lingered, keys dangling from my grasp. The hush felt altered this evening. Not serene, but hollow. In the galley, I brewed tea not out of necessity, but to occupy my hands. I carried it to my office, sank into the worn leather recliner that had conformed to my form over decades, and gazed at the encased snapshot of Emily on the mantel. It captured her at the cabin during a twilight in autumn, the fading rays igniting her tresses like autumn leaves. I pondered what she'd utter if she'd witnessed that deck confrontation today. Emily seldom elevated her pitch, but when she did, the atmosphere transformed. She wouldn't have permitted Alex to complete even a fraction of that proclamation. The device hummed once more. This instance, I retrieved it. A message from Alex. To clarify, we've concluded the cabin will be theirs indefinitely. Stay away. No rationale, no debate, merely a boundary imposed on what wasn't his to command. I perused it thrice, flipped the device screen down, and fixed on the obscured pane. For the 4 years since Emily departed, I'd embodied the obliging patriarch, consenting to each plea, signing drafts, sans inquiry, appearing as summoned and vanishing when dismissed. I convinced myself it preserved proximity to my sole offspring, that ample concessions might salvage a semblance of the kinship Emily treasured. But kinships don't seize your holdings and deem you unwelcome. Kinships don't obliterate your imprint from your own threshold. I savored a measured sip of tea. Beneath the burn of indignity, a firmer resolve coalesced. Not fury, not immediately. Something more calculated. I'd spent my career in real estate development. I understood frameworks, how to erect them, and how to erode them imperceptibly until the edifice crumbled unaware. And in that realization, ensconced in the subdued illumination of my office, my son had unwittingly imposed a timetable. They occupied it presently. They'd persist as long as they presumed impunity. I glanced anew at Emily's portrait. Her smile hinted at concealed wisdom. You'd endorse my approach, I murmured softly. Beyond the avenue lay mute. Within, I placed the teacup aside, grasped a journal, and inscribed a solitary phrase. They will etch this day in memory. It wasn't a rash oath. It was a schematic. And in my domain, schematics invariably materialize. The phone trilled shortly past 6 p.m., the subsequent night. I was in the galley, hovering over the basin, cleansing a dish from the modest meal I'd prepared. My palms were damp as I answered, so I cradled the device against my shoulder. Dad. Alex's inflection was curt, executive-like, the sort employed when you've predetermined the dialogue's conclusion. Alex. I maintained mine neutral, inscrutable. Pay attention. Sophia and I deliberated. The cabin is theirs from now on. Harold and Evelyn will relocate permanently. My grip halted beneath the faucet's flow. Repeat that. You grasped it. His phrasing was as composed as a meteorological update. It fits logically. They deserve a stable abode, and you seldom visit. I silenced the tap. The galley descended into stillness, bar the subtle drone of the cooler. You lack ownership of the cabin, Alex. You can't bestow it. I can if it's justified. I emitted a brief, arid chuckle. Justified for whom? For everyone, he retorted seamlessly. They've faced hardships. You possess excess room. You're well advancing in years now, isolated. It's unlike you're hosting gatherings there routinely. Advancing in years. Isolated. He permitted those descriptors to dangle, assured they'd inflict damage. 4 years prior, post-Emily, such barbs would have shattered me. I'd have faltered in response, proffering compromises to sustain harmony, to retain him near. Then I believed forfeiting my son's endorsement equated to relinquishing Emily anew. But this occasion, the delivery as if my existence bore an obsolescence he'd already noted yielded the contrary. It fortified an inner resolve. Alex? I articulated gradually. I labored 35 years for that estate. I forged the enterprise that funded every plank, every joist, every fixture in that structure. Your mother and I. That's parental duty, he interjected. Provision. Ensure kin are secured. I provisioned for you, not your in-laws. They're kin now, too. No, I countered, my tone honing. They're Sophia's kin. I scarcely recognized them. The line crackled with pause for an instant. Dad, you're acting egotistically. I chuckled lowly, incredulously. Egotistically. You've got audacity. I'll concede that. I'm earnest. We've supported you immensely since Mom passed. My fingers blanched around the device. Everything you've supported me with. You refer to the ceremony I financed, the vehicle I acquired when yours failed, the graduate debts I settled, or perhaps the advance for that extravagant loft. That's merely parental obligation, he reiterated, as though a creed. And what offspring avoid is pilfering from their progenitors? His inflection sharpened. You barely frequent it anymore. Why hoard it unused? It's not unused. I'm present when I choose. You're grasping at a dwelling. Dad, it's detrimental. Mom wouldn't. The ambiance in the space altered. Do not. I enunciated each syllable distinctly, presumed to voice for your mother. Another interlude extended this round. You can't deny me this, he asserted ultimately as if incontrovertible. Yes, I can. You believe you can halt this. We're relocating them next weekend. It's proceeding. No, I reaffirmed, composed and conclusive. His pitch escalated toward ire. Don't pursue this, Dad. Don't complicate it unnecessarily. You'll merely humiliate yourself. For years, I'd evaded self-humiliation before Alex. I'd modulated my timbre, minimized demands, kept resources accessible. But in that juncture, a peculiar liberation emerged, acknowledging the disgrace was his, not mine. I'm concluded discussing, I declared. You're not commanding here, he retorted. Not henceforth. If you contest, you'll forfeit. We'll seize it regardless. There was a phase I'd attempt mediation, seek compromise. But my lifespan in development negotiations taught me when adversaries shunned equilibrium. I refrained from elevating my voice. I omitted declaring him erroneous. I even bypassed urging reconsideration. I simply disconnected. For the inaugural occasion in our existences, I terminated the exchange first. The device rested on the counter display, dim, my silhouette faint in the reflection, my pulse steady, respiration uniform. It was a minor act, that severance, that intentional closure, yet it resonated like the inaugural maneuver in a contest I'd long evaded. I cleansed the suds from my palms, patted them dry on a cloth, and paused in the galley threshold. The residence's quietude enveloped me, but this instance it lacked vacancy. It pulsed with potential because now I comprehended two certainties. One, Alex had transgressed an indelible boundary. Two, I was at last prepared to respond. Sleep eluded me that night. I performed the rituals, bath, dental hygiene, even skimmed the finance pages of the Weekend Gazette. But upon reclining at 11, my thoughts raced unchecked. The overhead might as well have been a canvas for projections. Monday, May 5th. Tuesday. Wednesday. Thursday. Saturday, May 10th. Dates arrayed in my psyche like benchmarks on a blueprint. 35 years in development had honed me to conceptualize and chronologies segment the endeavor into stages, honor your timelines, and crucially decipher the opposition. And Alex had just furnished me one. They're settling in next weekend, he'd proclaimed as if finalized, as if my sole role was deference. That disclosed all essentials. This wasn't nebulous scheming, this was a precise objective, and a precise objective invited multifaceted assaults. I shifted to my flank, eyeing the vacancy Emily once occupied. She despised timelines, yet she revered readiness. Assessed twice in size, once she'd quipped during our joint renovations. My cogitations began coalescing into a more organized framework. This transcended retaining the cabin. It concerned demonstrating to Alex Sophia and her polished, acquisitive parents that I wasn't a figure to manipulate like an obsolete fixture. For the initial 4 years post Emily's demise, I'd been precisely that. Positioned wherever desired, acquiesced to every solicitation, persuaded myself that affirmation preserved the familial remnants. The cycle was glaringly evident now. 9 months following the memorial, Alex contacted regarding his sedan. It's faltering, Dad. Sophia needs dependable transport for her commute. That evolved into $28,000 for a fresh crossover procured and conveyed in days. A year hence, it was their penthouse, the proprietors divesting Dad. We must act swiftly on this unit. I issued the earnest without inspecting the edifice. Then the modest advance for decor, which ballooned to 6 digits. Each occasion I rationalized Emily would advocate assistance. Each occasion the gratitudes diminished, the entreaties amplified. And now this juncture. By midnight, I abandoned slumber attempts. I shuffled barefoot to the galley, prepared tea, potent, unadorned, and positioned at the board with a ledger. At the apex, I inscribed one term in capitals. Options. Beneath legal safeguards. Victor Kane. Bolt and cipher alterations might accelerate prematurely. Oversight, surveillance, mental dissuasion, civic discomfiture. Hazardous. I scrutinized the roster. Legal safeguards were evident. I'd collaborated with Victor for 25 years. He'd brokered my premier ventures, shielded my firm from 4 baseless litigations, and once persuaded a municipal planning committee to overturn a verdict that would have drained me 7 figures. Bolt and cipher changes seemed hasty. If Alex sensed panic, he'd intensify. No, I required him perceiving passivity, oversight, that harbored prospects not merely observation but environmental manipulation, mental dissuasion. That elicited my first grin in days. I deployed it in commerce afore nuanced coercion prompting the counterpart to retreat, deeming it their initiative. I regarded the term anew options. Then I struck through it and penned advantages. For that's the essence. Tenet 1, never barter from despair. Tenet 2, dominate the data. Tenet 3, possess the chronology. I could nearly discern Emily's timbre. You're constructing anew, aren't you? By 2 a.m. I possessed a plans framework. Stage 1, confer with Victor, erect legal barriers pre-Alex detecting groundwork. Stage 2, deploy a setup at Summit Ridge, rendering existence untenable for intruders. Stage 3, permit Alex to stride directly into it all, synchronized to the singular leverage he'd proffered the weekend deadline. At 6:45, dawn was merely infiltrating the shades. I bathed, groomed, and donned the charcoal blazer I reserved for stakeholder conferences of yore. Not for Victor's sake, but mine. Attire befits the endeavor. By 8:30, I occupied Victor Kane's urban suite. He rose upon my entry, his clasp as resolute as recalled. Thomas Pleasure, regret I can't reciprocate, I remarked, easing into the upholstered seat facing his workstation. I've a familial quandary, estate contention. His brows arched marginally. Commercial or personal, personal. Summit Ridge cabin. That's solely yours. It is. Acquired outright 15 years past. He reclined. Who's asserting my son? Victor remained impassive, yet his stylus hesitated over the pad. Kin disputes muddy. I seek unassailable, not muddy. We traversed fundamentals. Title acquisition. Chronicle my testament. Victor delineated defenses, scrutinized the title, fortify proprietorship via a fiduciary if requisite, and forge a transparent ledger of any intimidations or duress. How swiftly can we advance? I queried. For rudimentary audit days, sophisticated shields 2 to 3 weeks. Too protracted, I stated. They're intending relocation next weekend. He inclined affirmatively. Then we commence forthwith. Deliver every document on that estate by dawn tomorrow. And Thomas chronicle all messages, calls, even face-to-face. If they menace or insist, note with timestamp. I exited his quarters with a clarity absent for ages. Outside Denver's firmament was a stark, unyielding azure. Midway to my vehicle, my device hummed. Alex. Contrary to prudence, I responded. At last he uttered, we must quash this folly. Sophia's folks anticipate settling next weekend. See substruction. I unlatched my car portal and settled in. The sole folly is presuming you can allocate my estate. It's no folly, Dad. They've initiated packing. Lamentable for them. They'll need to unpack. You're rendering this sordid. You've already rendered it sordid. He exhaled akin to a recalcitrant patron spurning a fair proposal. Harold got laid off last month. Evelyn's on assistance. They necessitate this cabin more than you. That's not my burden. It's familial ethos. Like the ethos you exhibited barring me from my deck. Quietude, then icier. They're proceeding Saturday, irrespective of your consent. He severed the line. I lingered in the operator's seat, gazing through the glass. Saturday. That afforded 5 days. 5 days to convert my cabin into a domain they'd shun eternally. Tuesday. Dawn ushered illumination that seemed to level all it contacted. No depths, no warmth, merely barren precision. I was at my station pre-7, documents arrayed in orderly piles, the cabin's title levy, archives, coverage dossiers. Victor would receive them today, but my focus extended beyond juridical armor. Impervious records were vital, yet insufficient. Alex had clarified one facet. He disregarded unseen repercussions. He viewed this as tenacity versus inexorability. That persistent pressure would compel my capitulation as habitual. That necessitated terrain alteration. I nursed my tea, fixating on Emily's snapshot at my station's edge. She'd been beaming when captured alock and snared in the gust off Summit Ridge. The image had perpetually consoled. Recently it morphed into a memento of defendable worth. By 8, I traversed the pavement 3 abodes down to a modest bungalow with a silver postbox labeled Hayes. Nathan Hayes was 54, unattached, and the neighbor adept at configuring a surveillance array in the span most required to decipher manuals. We'd connected the season post-Emily when a ruptured conduit in his cellar submerged him knee-deep in icy deluge. I'd summoned a trusted plumber, ensured flawless execution, and declined compensation. Nathan never overlooked. He unbolted the entrance in slacks and a worn polo bearing some tech firm's insignia. Spectacles smeared from prolonged display exposure. Thomas he greeted, retreating to admit me. All well contingent on definition. Well. His workspace resembled a data hub's interior. 4 screens cords entwined like foliage racks laden with switches, components, and contraptions beyond my nomenclature. He motioned to a seat, and I obliged. I require aid with an initiative. His gaze constricted faintly as when gauging sincerity. What manner of initiative? The variety encompassing proximity, detectors, illumination, acoustics, perhaps optical illusions auto-activated upon intrusion. Nathan reclined, a glimmer of amusement emerging, akin to a spectral abode. Somewhat. Save the objective isn't amusement, it's eviction and aversion to recurrence. That elicited a subdued laugh. Now you've piqued my curiosity. Whom are we deterring? I demurred. Preferable you remain partially uninformed. Suffice some presume occupancy of unowned territory. I desire an indelible encounter. He assessed me protractedly, then assented. Indelible I can furnish. We devoted the ensuing hour delineating feasibilities. Proximity sensors in primary chambers scripted to initiate disorienting luminescence patterns sans peril. Emitters concealed in ducts and furnishings primed for resonances. Footfalls in deserted corridors, hinges groaning, murmurs verging on intelligibility. Illuminators projecting ethereal silhouettes on partitions, and centrally a remote governance apparatus. Can we incorporate fluid actuation? I probed. Taps basins all surging simultaneously. Nathan beamed. Certainly. I'll interface with hydraulic regulators feasible, and its compliant, all-conventional, intelligent domicile features ingeniously amalgamated. By 10, his crossover brimmed with apparatus, a heap of detectors no larger than alarms coils of adaptive LED ribbons, several petite illuminators, and a slate with governance code. He proceeded with the alacrity of one anticipating deployment of his arsenal. The trek to Summit Ridge spanned under 2.5 hours. I fixed on the route, but my intellect replayed the cabin's configuration. Foyer, great room galley, the quartet, upstairs chambers, Emily's crafting nook untouched since her exit. Each space would contribute to the orchestration. Upon arrival, Nathan alighted and emitted a soft whistle. Impressive retreat, he commented. It's mine, I responded levelly, and I plan to retain it. Indoors, the atmosphere retained a faint pine polish I'd applied to the planks last month. It jarred being there sans Emily, but today the discord edged with intent. We initiated in the foyer. Nathan affixed the initial sensor overhead, the portal syncing to the slate. Upon activation, he elucidated the great room. Illuminations will pulse in erratic hues and the vocal aid will issue an alert. What alert he inputted commands. Moments later, a composed yet authoritative timbre permeated. Notice you lack proprietorship of this estate. Depart forthwith. A semblance of gratification stirred, apt. Thence we progressed chamber by chamber. Upstairs, Nathan situated illuminators to cast elongated fluid shadows along corridors, forms that appeared to stir peripherally. In the galley, he rigged faucets for remote eruption fluid thundering mechanically. Emitters nestled in nooks behind shelves beneath seats. The resonances they'd convey, sporadic groans, subdued treads, vague susurrations would overlay until reality blurred. This operates on an isolated grid, Nathan clarified while concealing wiring behind skirting, autonomous from primary wireless thwarting simple disconnection or recoding. Reserve energy, I inquired. He smirked. Preempted. Concealed cells in the cellar will sustain for days post-breaker flip. By early afternoon, the cabin had metamorphosed, though superficially unaltered. That was the elegance. A great room resembled a great room, yet now a catalyst for luminescence and resonance. A passage seemed tranquil until traversed shadows, animating. We validated each protocol. The pulses struck intensely, throbbing in a cadence-defying concentration. The vocal aid amplified cautions with persistent motion. Fluid mechanisms bellowed post-30 seconds activity. The susurrations, initially faint, intensified with duration. This will succeed, Nathan affirmed, observing the slate as indicators illuminated sequentially. It must. As we stowed, I positioned in the foyer, surveying toward the ridges. The sun dipped behind summits, casting a bronze sheen across the terrain. Emily cherished this interval, claiming it rendered all poised in anticipation. I secured the portal, engaged it, and primed the setup to dormant. In my envisioning, I foresaw it. Alex unlocking with pilfered assurance. Sophia trailing parents in tow. All intruding a domain they deemed theirs. And the domain retorting. The dynamic was poised to shift. Wednesday dawn, Nathan's wrap arrived prematurely. I unlatched to him, juggling gear crates against his flank, a sleek illuminator clamped underarm like baggage. Couldn't cease pondering, he admitted entering, devised enhancements for superiority. Nathan's enhancements were never trivial. By loading his crossover, I'd tallied 2 robust reserve cells, an assortment of emitters tinier than tumblers, and what he termed focused sonic units. Envision it as auditory spotlighting, he expounded en route to Summit Ridge. Direct it at a locus solely the occupant there perceives, others in vicinity oblivious. I imagined Alex in the passage, a murmur targeting his ear alone, while Sophia and Kin scanned bewildered. Ideal. The cabin appeared as left 2 days prior. That was Nathan's finesse. All camouflaged latent. We commenced with illuminators. He mounted one aloft, the upstairs mezzanine lens oriented to project a silhouette corridor length. Upon activation, a subtle protracted form materialized, swaying akin to pacing. Even cognizant it was mere luminescence on paneling, my senses tensed. Picture glimpsing that at 2 a.m., post a dram or two, Nathan remarked. We appended 2 more in auxiliary chambers timed to shimmer intermittently, sufficient to snag peripheral sight. Then the focused sonic. Nathan installed one in foyer, veiled behind trim. We trialed. I stood on the mat, a subdued timbre murmured, "You don't belong." Sidestep left, it vanished. Revert, it recurred. The impact instantaneous and intimate as if the structure singled me. That'll burrow into psyches, Nathan observed. By mid-morning, upstairs and principal level fully meshed. Illuminations pulsed on detection fluid, thundered from every spout, post 30 seconds motion. Now layered shadows to observe, voices to heed, and the disquiet of unpredictable triggers. We descended to cellar for cell placement. Nathan concealed one behind panel near fuse panel, another beneath stair. These uphold the ensemble for a week minimum if mains severed, he stated. And locating San's demolition improbable. I stationed at stair apex overlooking the gloom. Emily always loathed that zone, claiming it evoked lurking woes. Today it resembled a command hub for precision. By noon, full protocol validation ready. Initiated in foyer, sensor activated. Illuminations erupted in jagged cadence, vocal aid proclaimed caution. Nathan advanced to great room. Galley basin surged. Shadows glided, far panel murmur shadowing him. Upstairs, mezzanine illuminator dispatched its pacing form, while chamber emitters rendered gradual erratic raps, not boisterous, merely present. The sort you'd vow authentic till doorway revealed void. Synchronization impeccable. Each component augmented prior, every segment reset post-brief. Quiescence primed anew. This, Nathan proclaimed, beaming amid now tranquil cabin, is artistry. It's an instrument I amended, though inwardly concurred. We perched on deck stairs, consuming wraps I'd prepped the ridges sprawling ahead. The vista serene, breeze crisp. The cabin appeared the sanctuary it had been for me, a haven secure. Outsiders wouldn't suspect it rigged for self-preservation. Nathan cleansed his palms and glanced. You know, Thomas, there's gratification in arming a dwelling. I recalled Emily, her insistence the cabin embody hospitality. She wouldn't favor armament, but she'd grasp the tenet safeguarding one's own. By late afternoon, all stowed setup activated control slate synced to my device. I could oversee the cabin remotely. View streams initiate or halt protocols tweak chronology dynamically. Poised in threshold pre-departure, I surveyed once more. Furnishings positioned as ever, carpet-aligned drapes precisely drawn. Not suggesting every angle, every lineman, every silent niche, now a snare. Back in Denver, that dusk I occupied my office slate on station beside. The cabin's feeds illuminated dimly foyer, great room galley passage, upstairs mezzanine, all static expectant. My device hummed. At 8:59 p.m., missive from Alex, arriving circa 1:00 p.m. Saturday. Spare the trip. I regarded the display momentarily, lips curving upward. Precise chronology. He'd furnished the ultimate datum. 1:00 Saturday. They'd ingress assured, presumptuous, convinced of my absence, and the cabin my cabin primed to receive. I sealed the missive, Sans reply reclined, permitted quietude to envelop. In development, the peril peaks pre-initial strike. All potency latent, all transformation concealed. Saturday. The strike would descend. Saturday, May 10th, 12:45 p.m. The foyer feed tranquil ridges beyond like etched stone. I sat in my office, 250 miles distant, control slate-oriented device adjacent. Every cabin mechanism, arm sensors alert, audio cued projections, primed fluid regulators poised. At precisely 1:02, a slate-gray crossover materialized on drive feed. Alex piloted. Sophia passenger shades atop her tresses. Harold and Evelyn rear inclining forward like explorers anticipating a vista. They omitted admiring the panorama. Post-halt portals flung figures emerged the cadence of those presuming entitlement. Alex circled to rear elevated hatch, commenced unloading luggage. Sophia orchestrated laterally, gesturing deckward like directing a production. Harold hoisted a wheeled case. Evelyn clutched a spacious woven satchel to her flank, the variety for extended sojourns. Via feeds audio gravel grated under soles. A hawk screeched over the heights. Then ascending stairs, Harold spotted the placard. Nathan's Craft forged alloy slab on oak backing inscription engraved boldly. Welcome to the retreat of tomorrow. Ingress at personal peril. Evelyn halted, initially grasped, firming on satchel. What does this imply? Harold stooped to peruse. Likely jest. Sophia tittered lightly. Oh, that's Dad's eccentricity. He pulls such antics. Disregard. Alex overlooked the placard. Proceed. Let's ingress. But Evelyn resisted. I'm not passing this. It's absurd. It taints the ambiance. She extended, seized the fixture, wrenched. Bolts ripped from cladding with shrill metallic wail. The placard thudded onto deck. She towed it aside. There, she declared, dusting palms. Initial discard. I observed the alloy settle on planks, daylight flashing off rim. They mounted stairs, Alex leading, Sophia trailing. Harold, with Case Evelyn lagging, still donning the modest content grin of one convinced of enhancement. Alex extracted a duplicate key mine, replicated from the reserve I'd entrusted years prior, and inserted. The portal yielded sans opposition. Home sweet, he uttered, rearward guiding ingress. From my station, I transitioned slate to great room view. They framed sequentially footwear traversing the weave Emily and I sourced from an artisan fair in Boulder. Evelyn's timbre transmitted clearly. Oh, it's lovelier than envisioned. Harold deposited Case by stairs. Feels authentically homely. Sophia wandered galleyward. Let's plan supper. Famished. Alex positioned centrally in great room palms on hips, appraising like a fresh proprietor. His stance exuded ease unseen since adolescence, then stemming from parental rectification of mishaps. I permitted unrestricted movement next hour. Harold ascended. Evelyn repositioned pillows. Sophia decanted spirits from her carried flask. Alex adjusted climate control. Occasionally one triggered a sensor. Slate illuminated logging, but I withheld activation. Permit acclimation. By 7:30, dusk, sun vanished over summit. Mezzanine feed depicted Harold in lounge pants en route to auxiliary chamber. Evelyn Abed tome unfurled. Sophia rinsed in galley. Alex lounged on settee device in grasp, browsing with faint complacent smirk of one deeming day triumphant. I awaited till cabin's sonic graph on slate dipped near mute. 9:03 p.m. From Denver chair I advanced, tapped slate's primary icon. Initiate comprehensive protocol. Setup animated instantaneously. Illuminations chamber-wide commenced pulsing. Not mellow throb, but acute bewildering flares alternating crimson, sapphire, ivory. Upstairs, illuminators hurled pacing silhouette corridor panel. Downstairs, emitters murmured verge audible. You don't belong. You don't belong. In galley fluid gushed basin splashing alloy. Lavatory cascades thundered. Vapor clouding mezzanine. Mezzanine feed captured Harold. Staggering passage palm. Shielding glare from flares. Eve. Eve, what's occurring? Evelyn's pitch emanated auxiliary shrill and acute. Harold, intrusion. Sophia materialized, great room feed cranium swiveling as shadows traversed panels. Alex, you're set up. Alex surged upright. No likely surge. He truncated as vocal aid dominated. Alert. Illicit residents identified. Vacate premises immediately. Foyer-focused sonic engaged. Alex rigid mid-stride as murmur struck his left ear solely. Evacuate. He whirled, seeking origin, but Sophia and kin converged. Galley striving to staunch fluid. Galley feed displayed Sophia, wrenching levers, fluid persistent. Harold tugged cooler portal futilely. Evelyn gripped threshold agape, observing shadow ceiling ward. Upstairs, auxiliary illuminator ignited, projecting silhouette, threshold leaning. Evelyn's shriek pierced cabin din. Alex, she bellowed, summon authorities. He fumbled device. Yet even succeeding, I knew findings flawless, intelligent domicile. Not, illicit not, defective mere regrettable glitch. Mezzanine feed showed Harold seizing Evelyn's limb. Departing now. Sophia's timbre overlaid. Portal sealed 30-second smart bolt lag, intensifying enclosure. I observed Alex yank handle frame tensing. Upon click, they tumbled deckward, squinting obscurity. None regarded discarded placard. In crossover and retreating drive in sub-minute. Feed tracked rear lamps till pines engulfed. Cabin quieted anew. I reclined palms light on armrests. Protocol flawless. Sans hitch, sans opportunity for narrative reclamation. Alex presumed arrival at acquisition. Instead, ingress mine. Cabin feeds lingered active on station when device trilled 7:45 a.m. Sunday. Display illuminated Alex. I permitted 3 rings pre-response. Dawn sun. My inflection cordial enough for plausibility impartial sans disclosure. What did you enact? Dad words emerged, keen, fragile, sleepless, adrenaline-fueled umbrage. What imply cease feigning ignorance, pitch fractured elevated. The cabin erupted last eve, illuminations blazing fluid cascading everywhere, voices demanding departure. Sophia's folks traumatized. My mom, he self-corrected. Evelyn wept hours. Harold believed he witnessed. He aborted as if recollection perilous to vocalize. I adjusted chair-glancing monitors static, vacant summit ridge. Great room-worn radiance across weave. That sounds harrowing, I intoned, infusing adequate empathy. Contacted anyone? We summoned authorities, he spat, acrimony saturating. Arrived 5, inspected entirety, claim not amiss. Well, I uttered mildly. That's reassuring. Reassuring. Volume peaked. Sleepless 8 hours. Harhi faltered. It's Harold, I amended casually. Irrelevant his moniker now. I permitted line silence, pre-speaking. Alex contemporary intelligence setups erratic occasionally. Perhaps surge, perhaps cabling flaw. Dare not condescend, he snarled. This deliberate. And we both aware your involvement. I grinned at monitor unseen. Alex. I remained in Denver overnight 250 miles distant. How feasibly command a cabin, hence you could have commissioned. Whom precisely? To orchestrate elaborate spectral to deter stopwork. Sounds fanciful. No respiration labored via line. This unfinished. Comprehend. We're undeterred by glitch. They're relocating still. I inclined toward feeds. Cabin, vacant, vigilant. Perhaps the cabin dislikes intruders, I suggested. Ensuing quietude extended 12 protracted seconds. I misjudged you, Alex conceded. Ultimately timbre subdued fringed with near dread. That's occurred. The connection severed. I deposited device delicately digits wrapping station once. If prior eve performance this morn critique, they'd rattled. Fissures in assurance manifested, but spectacle incomplete. Like superior staging act 2 must elevate stakes. By 9:00, cabin foyer feed activated anew. Pale sedan drive ingress. Man alighted bearing hefty ebony kit locksmith's ilk. I advanced refining angle. Alex accompanied gesticulating portal ward with amplified exasperation. Locksmith knelt inspecting, then regarded Alex demurring. These unconventional bolts, Sir Locksmith intoned. Unified intelligent arrays, biometrics wireless linkage reserve supplies. Can't merely substitute, Alex queried. Not SON recoding grid. And that's well beyond my purview. Man-sealed kit decisively. Require tech expert for domicile automation. Locksmith departed. Alex lingered deck palms, hips, pre-trudging vehicle ward. Cabin bolt persisted. Feeds endured. That eve I maintained all feeds. Dwelling shrouded obscurity, vacant yet alert. Monday elapsed SON's call. Tuesday, 7:03 p.m. Gravel rasp-filled foyer mic. I glanced feed Alex and Sophia sans her kin. They approached my Denver threshold like options depleted politeness. Sophia stepped behind Alex, limbs folded, mandible rigid. Unlatch. Dad. Alex summoned. I complied. We must converse, he declared. By all means. I retreated, admitting to foyer. Sophia's fragrance assailed pre-word's tart floral lavish. This charade concludes now, Alex asserted. Either halt your machinations and cede the cabin, or he eyed Sophia. Or what I probed. Sophia's timbre subdued, restrained. Or you'll never encounter us anew. No gatherings, no festivities, no prospective descendants. Once that would have gutted, now mere intel. So threat I intoned evenly. It's actuality, Alex rejoined. Your aging dad. Solitary. What utility a sight like that, I surveyed pair. Intriguing viewpoint from those attempting unsolicited occupancy. Sophia's gaze flared. Assumed rationality. I embody rationality, I stated. Retaining mine. Alex advanced. Deem yourself astute. We'll litigate. Torment, psychic anguish, will broadcast your deeds. On what proof his mandible labored mute momentarily. This unresolved. I leaned frame timbre composed. I deem resolved. They exited wordless. I omitted observing departure. In office, I extracted journal at station. Exchange furnished ultimate fragment. Tomorrow, Victor, then others. Alex presumed conflict tech and coercion. Erroneous. Denouement paper juridical binding eternal. The cabin could repel, but I sought perpetual exclusion. The morn post Alex and Sophia's exodus from my abode Denver was overcast and stagnant, the sort of firmament implying days' suspense. I decanted one unadorned tea, no sweetener, no additive. Positioned at station cup in one grasp, device other. Thumb lingered over contacts entry Victor Kane. I'd associated with Victor 24 years. He transcended counsel. He was the individual cognizant of precise timbre a code tome emits upon slamming adversary's visage. We'd encountered when my late spouse Emily and I acquired inaugural leasehold. He'd managed documents then and every transaction thence. Upon answer, his timbre constant. Serene, succinct, proficient. Thomas Service. I must safeguard Summit Ridge Cabin, I declared enduringly. No contests, no evasions. None, not my son, his spouse, her clan can assert it theirs. Faint stylus scrape his end. All right. Circumstance I proffered condensed Alex's deck edict. Sophia's veiled menaces, the haze kin in my loungers quaffing my libations, the spectral that routed them. Upon conclusion, Victor emitted low whistle. Assume no outright divestiture. No, I affirmed, but neither desire it titled mine if circling persists. That yields options, Victor stated. Cleanest convey to irrevocable fiduciary or donate to controlled entity or charitable gifting. I reclined. Swiftest the charitable path if designated documents in 48 hours. Signed, filed, impregnable. I recalled Emily's timbre warm, steadfast discussing regional recovery haven she'd volunteered. Summit wasn't mere estate. It was locale she believed restorative. Perhaps still. Horizon Healing Network. I stated, they've sought acreage near Ridge's years. Bestow them. Victor seamless. Comprehended. Visitation retained naturally. I'll append donor lifetime entry revocable solely by you. I perused each provision stipulation punctuation. Then inscribed. Upon stylus lift weight shifted like cabin's burden relocated to alternate base. One Alex inaccessible. Victor assembled papers. Filed with Registrar Morn. By Friday Public Ledger. Searchers see Horizon Healing Network owner. And Alex I queried. Victor proffered small arid grin. He can engage statewide bar. Irrelevant. A state beyond grasp. That dusk I occupied office with cabin feed on portable. Locale serene bathed sunset gold. At 6:22 p.m., beams swept drive. Alex's rig, Sophia passenger, exited briskly marching threshold like proprietors. Alex essayed key. Bolt, inert. He hammered, portal vocalized once, not Dad, not Thomas, mere brusque unseal. Sans reply, he retreated glowering structure like personal affront. Sophia extracted device, commenced footage. This harassment she addressed lens. This unlawful ouster. Court awaits. I nearly chuckled. She unaware ink dried on conveyance. Next morn call arrived. Alex's numeral anew. This decisive, he sans prelude. Legal pursuit. Alex. I intoned steady. Pre-filing verify ownership. What babble? Not mine henceforth, nor yours, quietude, then hell enacted. Honored your mother's legacy, I stated. Something you've overlooked. His pitch ascended. You donated. To whom? Discover imminently. Public by Friday. Respiration labored. You'll rue. No, I affirmed slumber superior years. Line deceased. Chapter. 2 days hence disclosure accelerated. Horizon Healing Network posted image social coordinator on cabin deck Ridge's shimmering rear. Legend immensely thankful, accept generous bequest. Summit Ridge cabin from Mr. Thomas Vale. This sanctuary will aid healers in kin decades. Regional press adopted. Couple digital portals, too. By midday, device hummed calls, texts, not Alex, but long silent acquaintances, commendations, or inquisitiveness. When Alex called timbre planar, near dazed. So that's it. Prefer strangers over son. Prefer respecters, I stated. You've demolished this kin. No, I softly. You self-inflicted. Not left post that. I sealed call reclined-eyed Denver horizon. Cabin no longer mine but secure. Emily's locale. My locale. Now theirs for benevolence. And Alex. Excluded not by latch or spectral ruse, but barrier no outburst or counsel breaches the statute. Conflict ceased escalation. Concluded, I triumphed. Thursday dawn, pristine and luminous Denver sky like sliced crystal. I roused pre-alarm mentally attired. Slate ensemble ivory shirt the neckwear Emily claimed rendered me earnest. On galley counter, dossier weighted authenticated title replicas. Conveyance the bequest pack to Horizon Healing Network. Lifetime entry provision. My imprint. My access to portal. Alex never unlocks. At 9:55, I thrust glass portal to Victor Kane's suite. A tenant glanced, smiled Mr. Vale. Chamber C, present already. Present. Insecure premature. Unbidden irate. Indoors scented citrus sheen and parchment. Victor Apex documents aligned meticulously. Opposite Alex mandible taut. Sophia limbs crossed, orbs fatigue-ringed, Harold and Evelyn Hayes adjacent on ledge wall garbed as if poise pressable. Morning, I intoned, seated beside Victor, hands interlaced. Alex omitted salutation. Resolve now, Victor elevated palm. Informed here, not barter. Term struck like unyielding portal. Sophia emitted humorless titter. Will determine. Victor advanced single print midway. Registrar index. Commence viewing. Summit Ridge Cabin, logged proprietor, Horizon Healing Network. As yesterday, 9:03 a.m. Bequest title, adherence declaration and levy docs consummate and juridically irrevocable. Quietude waited. Alex blinked initial. Irrevocable reverse routinely. Not this, Victor. Irrevocable signifies undesired. Harold throat-cleared rational timbre attempt. No strife sought, merely abode. We assumed ingress unowned dwelling, I interjected, and barred my deck to effect. Evelyn advanced, palms, planar beads, quivering throat. Post all our daughter afforded your son. She halted, perhaps realizing sentiment unrewarded here. Victor elevated another. Also this no trespass and cease torment notice, behalf Mr. Vale and Horizon Healing Network. If any ingress Summit Ridge sans Mr. Vale's explicit inscribed invite as lifetime entry holder, criminal trespass, persist calls, texts, illicit coercion remedies pursued, Alex derided, lifetime entry, donated yet retained, donated estate. Victor reserved donor privilege, personal utilization at benevolence discretion. Lawful, holy. He may reside whenever unreserved for initiative. You, however, no ingress right. Alex's maw gaped shut, so he prevails ultimately bitterly. That spectacle convened to witness prevail. Orbs to me, prefer strangers than sun, prefer home comprehenders I. Not leverage, not tribute, not widower chastisement tool. Subtle crimson ascended Sophia's nape, unresolved. Will publicize deeds, publicize as desired. Victor unblinking. Ledger publicizes else donor lakeside retreat to healers for restorative escapes. Reporters contacted mourn. Noticed images. Alex glanced Sophia. There. Seen post remarks, diminutive endorsements, eluding desired. Evelyn's timbre, diminutive touched air. No harm intended. Merely logical. He's solitary, scarcely utilizes. I regarded Son wrath. Recalled Emily adjusting placement, 2 digits, gentle unyielding. I utilize I. Remember wife. Sit with heights and quietude. And if unused, still not yours. Victor extended final papers fanned visible. To avert confusion, certified bequest title and donative intent missive. Recorded donor entry notice, Mr. Vale. And missives each memorializing today caution. Alex stared pages like alien script. You orchestrated. Not initially I. But instant barred own home instructed end. He thrust chair rear, swift legs shrieked. Demolished our kin, enforcing boundary I. Kin endures boundaries, perishes absent. Harold rose palm up gesture once. Foreman pleading storm mercy. Discuss transition arrange alternate Victor advance slender ivory envelope him. Draft Mr. Vale to Horizon Healing Network your name. Harold and Evelyn noted relocation aid vouchers. Benevolence reissues service credits, partner lodging. Won't acquire Ridge Vista. Will acquire time. Evelyn eyed envelope potentially venomous. Decline his benevolence. I met Orbs. Desired benevolence at Ridge. Sophia's timbre sought assured register failed. Concluded, our Victor. Unless irrevocable explication copy desired anew. Alex winced term struck brow. Then pivoted portal grasp handle halted. Didn't regard back speaking. No worst. Keep hearing. Mom's timbre urge better. Thought push sufficient muffle. He degglutinated. Didn't. Portal unsealed sealed. Exited line no longer kin. Mere quartet linked shared defeat failed scheme. Room vacant. Victor assembled papers precise as laid. Executed flawlessly. He. Paper barriers, I responded. Appear fragile till collision. He near grinned. Now what? Drive I. Locale unvisited properly months. Route summit ran constant through brush evergreens, initial ridge glint still breath-stealing. Pulled stony drive, afternoon light turned terrain hammered bronze. On deck, woman awaited tresses knotted low ledger hand. Advanced professional smile warmer beneath. Mr. Vale. I'm Lena Ruiz, Initiative Coordinator, Horizon Healing. Hands clasped. Thought dedication modest she. Your time here and clients arrive theirs. Indoors house, quiet inner seasons. Fire unlit heat. Unnecessary winter light fires as summer waters. Lena toured chambers with me, heating where Emily read morn radiance, winter landed galley compartments jammed barometer drop. Noted like custodian, not visitor. Small cohort next month, she softly. 6 pairs start. Breath space, cease, bracing calls. Good, I. That's cabin's gift. Stood pane overlooking ledge when tires stony exterior. No feed needed recognize. Expecting Lena queried? No, I, but anticipated. Rap swift, hard bolt rattling. Unlatched choice not right other side. Alex deck solitary daylight paling face near youthful. Drove swift eye. He glanced past absorbing vacant great room, moved, murmured, routed. True he about healers. True I. Done. He down shoes up me. Uttered dreadful. Did I concurred? Drew breath apology disorganized. Sophia. Halted. We thought push sufficient revert man recall 4 years past I. Mistook benevolence capitulation. Orbs flickered. Half step rear. Hate me. No, I. But ceased permitting diminishment. Degglutinated nodded. Second saw lad once dropped disk drive looked. We'd retrieve together if under vehicle. Now what? He. Behind Lena cleared softly reminder. Not our dwelling anymore. Mission larger us. Now I home. Discern desire beyond entitled. Then day enter sans angle contact. Till then I gestured ridges. Locale occupied. Occupied he echoed word room seeking. Glanced past once more demurred self turned walked vehicle. Watched rear lamps road ribbon away. Lena beside comfortable quietude understanders victory sans streamers. Okay she. Superior okay. Stepped deck air find. Done regretting claimant's mine. She sealed ledger. One more she. Board sanctioned entry plaque understated. Line given memory Emily Vale. May this dwelling quiet healing, your approval, didn't immediate. Ridges shifted like respiration. Evergreens rustled, clicked. She'd favor I. Quiet healing. Lena smiled. Will install. Left me. Arboreal conclave session overhead. Terrain what terrain holding light releasing. Walked ledge, sat shoes, warm planks. Pondered boundaries, paper barriers, years. Thought love meant filling adult voids key. Gust rose skimmed peaks. No spectators now. No performance need. Mere man bestowed thing retained self built it. When sun descended, chill rose ridges stood, turned dwelling, caught something pain. Mere reflection man bit older. 68 lot steadier, once grinned erasure. Device hummed reaching deck. Solitary missive. Alex, contact when ready, converse sun. Typed not. Some missives answered life, lived not sent. Unlatched portal, my key stepped, dwelling never tool against closed behind sound, neither victory nor finality. Better irrevocable. Initial frost arrived premature forecast, Denver calendar. Mild December stretches, but Summit Ridge seasons ignored urban timetables. Drove morn thermos tea, old snapshots stacked no specific agenda. Firmament tin hue ridges first since summer ceased. Glass pretense started steel. Lena left galley counternote. 6 pairs. Friday. 3 gold star kin. 1 father-son, both healers attempting dialogue years first. Signed D looping underline handwriting restraint. Cabin quietude altered now. Before defensive dwelling breath-holding claimant next. Now open chambers respiring sans suspicion. Even evergreen planks groaned night-creaked acceptance. Poured tea, mismatched mug. Emily collected mugs, unvisited souvenirs. This chipped rim kept not perfection hand memory. Walked ledge air honing step. Chill boards, honest not unpleasant. Across ridges smoke curl, chimney pale snow-patched evergreen slope. Thought Alex stood here last searching face unnameable. 6 weeks since Victor's meeting, beyond single missive not. Contact ready converse sun, no update expected. Readiness thaw. Arrives when staring ice ineffectual. Still device active trips, not waiting silence conversation kind. Gravel crunch broke quiet. Turned half expecting Lena, but rig older. Late 1990s Chevy paint, sun-dulled purposeful. Halted drive midway. Portal opened, man emerged. Not Alex. Taller, broader shoulders, wary posture, Unis walking another property sans invite. Plain olive coat, frayed cuffs, hair, early silver threaded. Your veil, he called. Am I remaining ledge? I'm Sam Rivera. Unit served man named Carlos Ruiz. Said place for guys us. Your donor. Nodded. Served Ruiz 3 tours, told Ridges VA gathering. Said only low-cal years breathe sans walls closing. Sam's timbre unsentimental coordinate reporting. Thought view. Self pre-others. I gestured ledge. Viewing. Stepped boards, boots, soft thud. Didn't I immediate stared terrain. Notice still ridges head mess, think safe traverse not. Then under snap. Noticed I. He nodded. Guess why locale works. Stand no, deep still, okay. Stood sans talk while. Duck pair slow wake far side reedward. Lost someone here, Sam finally. Not here I, but hers. Post gone thought mine tried theirs, no details probed. Servicemen seldom. Well, he. Now ours won't squander. When left gravel fade, swift ridges swallowed. Back indoors, mug sink found self-door gazing protracted. By late afternoon, frost drifted. Lit hearth fire belongs winter light. Water, summer. That second tires set. This new sound pre-motor cease. Alex's newer crossover idling sufficient think might depart pre-alight, didn't. Ascended deck steps, slow hands, coat pockets, eyes wood grain, courage giving. Brought tea. By she lifting carrier, 2 cups. Unsure drink, late. Company dependent eye. Sat great room, hearth, air, low pulse. No apology rush. Felt respect oddly. Been pondering he commenced about said boundaries kin surviving or dying absent. Waited. Told Sophia space need. She space leaving synonym. So left guess. Rental staying, gave Ridge's head dozen, still not mine. Looked hearth sentence handing. Came today, don't want guy calls needs, don't want think here undo did. Not. Hearth popped small sound, large pause. Sorry, he how spoke. Thinking mom's voice fade, push sufficient. Louder now, trying heed. No rush answer. Apologies seeds, no tug ground growth see. Instead poured tea, 2 Emily's old mugs set one front. Want return sometime, not full talk Lena, her timetable now. Brow lifted, formality nodded. Equitable. Talked half-hour work rentals, poor heater not weaponizable later. Then stood door. Said, look better last saw. Am better. I. Left sans class, sans call promise fine. Some bridges fanfare needless stand. Just cease burning, frost harder, night tapping pains, small reminders. Stayed 2 days sufficient. See first healers arrive. Lena greeted drive. No orations clasps, welcome wordless. From ledge watched perimeter walk shoulders, loosening boots crunch thin snow crust. One man, water edge long, like Sam. No interrupt. Later, hearth lit laughter. Main room low first. Stronger realized. Cabin, not mine way, once point. Thank you for accompanying this narrative. If enjoyed, please thumbs up, video subscribe channel, share story impressions, comments. Next narrative. Listen, click, playlist, now screen.